Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast, where we discuss all things empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. My name is Yvonne Ellis. I'm an empowerment speaker, author, coach, trainer, and founder of Yumi Empowerment, a company that facilitates the empowerment of people. I help people to make positive life change, live in their purpose, and develop into their best version of self. I share stories, interviews, spiritual encouragement, and actionable tips to empower, encourage, and inspire you to live the life you want. So if you want to live the empowered life, join me each week on my podcast so we can take the journey together. Hello, Empowered Lifers. Welcome to episode 99 of Living the Empowered Life podcast. I can't believe it, guys. I'm nearly at 100 episodes. I am so excited. I can't believe I have made it this far. And I hope that you've really enjoyed these episodes that I've been doing over nearly the last 4 years. I am so happy to be able to share with you all things empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. If you're new here, I want to welcome you. I hope this episode is something of value to you. And to my continued listeners, as always, guys, thank you for your support. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, guys, I got from the podcast platform Buzzsprout, where I have my podcast, all the statistics of where listeners listen to my podcast from and where my episodes are the most uploaded. And I'm going to share that with you in the end of year recap episode, which is coming up on the 30th of December. That will be the last episode of 2024, the 100th episode, and that is something to be really, really proud of. But I will share all that with you guys in the next episode, which will be the last one. So guys, in today's episode, I'm just going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about in episode 99, which is this episode, how to end a bad year. Now guys, it is 17 days until the end of 2024, and I think Christmas is in about 10 days time, guys. Over here at the moment in London, it has been really busy everywhere I've gone. Yesterday I went to Battersea Power Station and it was really, really busy there. I went to King's Road the day before on Friday, or the Friday before, and that was really busy. And also as well, I went up to Oxford Street and West End, and it's packed every single where, I've gone. So people are out and about preparing for Christmas, doing their shopping. The roads are really, really busy. But I can't believe that Christmas is going to be in 10 days and the end of the year, the end of 2024 is going to be in 17 days time. And what a year it has been. As I've shared briefly throughout some of my social media posts this year, some of them has been about regrets I've had, not feeling okay, inner battles that I'm finding challenging. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I am going to be glad to see the back of 2024. But even though it has not been my greatest year, I am choosing to highlight some of the positives in the last episode of the year on the 30th of December. Because I am all about living the empowered life, even when things are not going well for me or things are challenging and hard. I'm trying to put a positive spin on things. I'm trying to look for the silver lining in challenging situations, and that is really what living the empowered life is all about. No one is saying that you're not going to have challenges, down days, days of feeling like giving up, feeling trapped, all these different things. But it's about how do you navigate your way out of it. What can you do to kind of change the viewpoint of that thing? That is what living the empowered life in part is all about. So I want to share with you in this episode 5 tips to help you and basically how to end a bad year. These are things I have done or I'm currently doing. I believe these things will help to take your viewpoint of the year from negative to a somewhat positive outlook. I don't know what type of year you guys have had. I know from speaking to a few people and from seeing on social media, a lot of people have had a really tough year, whether that has been because of financial reasons, whether that has been because, some people have experienced loss of a job, a loss of a loved one. There are people out here that are having a really tough time, and 2024 for a lot of people has been a really hard and challenging year. Maybe you've had a hard and challenging year. If so, this episode is for you. So I'm going to share these things with you, and I hope that you will be able to think about these things and think about how you can use them in your situation to try and turn around your year. So the first thing I want to share with you is ask yourself some probing questions. What is meant by that is, what things have made you have a bad year? Is it people that you've had around you? Is it a relationship problem? Is it your work, your job? Is it lack of finances? What things have had an impact on your year to make you feel that you've had a bad year? Ask yourself the probing questions. So, for example, if your job has contributed to you having a bad year, sit down and think about what in your job has contributed to that. Is it the workload? Is it the people that you work with? Is it the pressures of, the environment that you work in? What things have caused that? And think about, what things you can do to go forward in your job to make sure that those things don't have an impact on your new year, on 2025. I think it's really important to sit down and be able to just sit and ask yourself those questions, because in asking yourself those questions, you will then be able to take that information from the answers to go forward. Sometimes we need to sit down and reflect and probe and think about what things have been difficult, why has it been hard, and think about what we can do to make it better. So I would suggest that you do that. Take that time out just to sit down, ask yourself those hard questions, and then see if you can use that information to go forward in a positive way. The second thing I would say about how to end a bad year is to acknowledge the impact. Now, acknowledging the impact of those things that have contributed to having a bad year is so important. For me, I did a post recently where I talked about, sometimes it's okay not to be okay. And one of the things that I did to acknowledge the impact of some negative and bad things in my life this year was that I went back to therapy. I don't feel anywhere about going back to therapy. I don't think in 2024 there should be a stigma attached anymore to going in, getting help when life becomes a little bit too overwhelming or a little bit challenging. But for me, acknowledging the impact of my year involved going back to therapy, and it was for me so needed. I felt that I could completely be myself. I could really acknowledge the hard feelings that I, for some reason in my life this year, didn't feel that I could acknowledge outside of being in therapy. So for me, it was a lifesaver. And I think one of the hardest things to do is sit in the negative emotions of things when they've gone bad for you. Because for me, I don't know if you feel like this or if you are going through similar things. When I feel negative emotions about stuff, I want to immediately try and do something to make it better, or do something to take my mind off of it, or distract myself with something. So for me to sit in the emotions of the things that were bad for me for this year, it made me feel quite down. It was quite challenging. Really, one of the key things besides therapy that really helped me was my relationship with God. I spent a lot of time crying to God, praying to God, and being totally vulnerable. And I think to acknowledge the impact of a year, if you're going to share it with somebody, it has to be somebody that you trust. Because for me, as I mentioned in that post, there's not many people I feel that I can be in a vulnerable state with. So therapy for me, having a confidential space, talking to somebody, and my prayer time with God were both places where I felt that I could be totally vulnerable and totally just pour out myself about how I felt about some of the things that were going on in my life that were contributing to me not having a good year, actually contributing to me having a bad year at that point. But acknowledging the impact of the things. If it's regret you feel about it, acknowledge it. If it's sadness you feel about whatever that thing is, acknowledge it. Whatever that feeling is, acknowledge it. Even if it's negative, acknowledge it. It's so important to do that, because I feel like there has to be a time of being able to just not only acknowledge it, feel it, and in doing that, it will help you to kind of be able to move on from it. So I would say to you to acknowledge the impact of the things that have contributed to you having a bad year. And if you can, do that with somebody that you trust, or, if you want to, invest in some sessions of therapy or whatever it is, I would encourage you to do that. The next thing I want to share with you is to forgive yourself and make peace with what it is. At the end of the day, empowered lifers, you can't do nothing about the year now. We're nearly at the end of the year, 17 days to the end of 2024. You can't go back in time. The time has now gone for that thing. The only thing that you can do now is to look forward. You have to forgive yourself if there were things in your bad year that you could have done, should have done, and you didn't. You have to forgive yourself for the things that you regret. You have to forgive yourself for the things or the opportunities that were missed. You have to be able to forgive yourself, because I'm telling you now, if you've experienced any of these things this year and you're beating yourself up over the head about it, you are, practicing in self-condemnation, it's not going to make the situation better. All you're going to do is waste time. You've already lost time, and you will just waste time by beating yourself up about things. And take it from me, somebody who has always struggled with self-condemnation, I have found it is not worth it. It's about, taking the L, basically. It's about, taking the L, taking that loss, taking it on the chin, charging it to the game, whatever you want to call it, and being able to learn from it and move on. And not only that, you have to make peace with what it is. You can't do anything about it now. Make peace with it. Oh, well, my opportunity here has now gone here, or, I have this regret. Whatever it is, you have to make peace with it and let it go. Let it go. The only good things that you can do with these things now is to take what you can, what you've learned from them. Think about what you've learned from them. Think about, going forward, how you will try and avoid making the same kind of mistakes again, and just make peace and move on. Because you're never going to get the time back for those things. And all we can do, as the saying says, is that when we know better, we do better. Now we've had to experience, the kind of failings, the regrets, the missed opportunities, the sadness of things that contributed to the bad year. We can only learn from them and do better. So that is a positive that you can take forward. Make peace, forgive, and to move on. Another thing I want to share with you about how to end a bad year that might help you is to declutter. Throughout the year, we clutter up so much stuff. We accumulate so much stuff, I should say. There are things that just pile up with life, being busy and everything. We don't necessarily get the time that we would like to declutter as we go along in a year. And what I find with decluttering, and I love to do it in my home office, is that it kind of frees up my mental space in my mind. It helps me to kind of prepare for the new year as well, because I'm saying that I'm going to tidy this up, throw this out, declutter, all these different things ready for when my new year starts. And I think that is a positive way to end a bad year. If you feel that your home environment or your space that you're living in is really cluttered, then maybe it's time to declutter. Think about, what things you want to keep, what things you want to throw away. Also reorganize your stuff, and get yourself in a mind space that you're going to start the new year decluttered, organized, and it will help with your focus. It's one of those things that I love to do, and it's just something that I find beneficial. So I thought that I would share that with you as well. And the last thing I want to share with you guys on how to end a bad year is to focus on all the positives. Now, you can do this by just going back through some of the memories or photos that you've taken this year and think about them. Make them jog your memory as to good things that happened for you this year. Also as well, maybe write down some of the positive things that you remember about this year and think about how they make you feel. Think about what it felt like in the moment and just be thankful for them, because even though we may have had times in this year that wasn't too great, I can definitely say that there were some things in this year that were definitely positive, that were definitely good. Some of the things that I like to do to help me to capture the good in a year is to journal. So when I go back through my journal, I see that there were times in my year where good things did happen for me. And, I reflect on that and it helps me to remember nice things. Also, as well, I have done a gratitude jar and I've shared it before on my social media. What I used to do, well, what I first used to do was to wash out old pasta jars, dry them out, and then get little pieces of paper and write down things that I'm thankful for each year. I kind of upgraded to some really nice jars that I got when I got some really nice biscuits from a department store. So I use those jars instead. But what I do throughout the year is to write on pieces of paper, thanking God for things that have happened in my day. And what I like to do at the end of the year is to open up that jar, empty them all out, and just reflect back on all the things that were positive and good about the year. And I want to encourage you guys, if you haven't done it already, for the new year, get an old jam jar, pasta jar, wash it out, dry it out, and start to each and every day find little things to be thankful about, write them down. It is such a good practice and it really does encourage me, I find, to always be thinking about some of the positive things that have happened in the year. So that is my encouragement to you guys. Hold on to the positives. No matter how terrible this year has been, hold on to the positives. Think about the positives. Think about the things that you're going to do that are going to be different in 2025. And, as I said, everybody goes through a time where things are not great for them. But that doesn't mean that things are not going to be great for you in the future. So hold on to the positive, guys, and don't let them go. And remember, besides not letting go of the positives, celebrate them as well. That's another thing that I am a big cheerleader of, is celebrating the good times, celebrating the things that have gone well, celebrating progress, achievements. Anything that is worth celebrating in your life, you should be celebrating. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's about doing something that marks the occasion to say to yourself, this was a positive thing in my life. This was a sign of progress in my life, and I'm going to celebrate it. So the Bible scripture, guys, that I want to share with you today, and this is for those of you who have had a bad year, I want to encourage you with this Bible scripture. It comes from Psalm 9:9. And it says, "The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in the times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you." So guys, this Bible verse is really about placing your trust in God. There were times during this year that I didn't think I was going to make it through. But by just being in God's presence, talking to him, crying to him, pouring out my vulnerabilities to him, I found that he was my stronghold. Whether in good times or bad times, this is something that you should be doing. Holding on to the Lord, placing your trust in him. He gives you life, he gives you breath every day, and he will see you through the bad times that you've had. Maybe you feel at the moment that they're lasting always and they're never going to stop. But trust me when I say to you, as somebody that has had many bad times in my life, this too shall pass. Bad times are not forever. Bad times have helped me to be resilient. Bad times have helped me to be somebody who can appreciate the good things even more. But they happen to all of us at times. So I'm just saying to you guys to put your trust in the Lord. If you're going through a bad time at the moment, make him your stronghold in this time of trouble. A stronghold means someone that you can just confide in and hold on to in times of going through real challenges. And remember that he will never leave you or forsake you. Seek him and he will not let you down. So guys, that is it for this episode. I hope this episode was an encouragement to you guys. I would love to know. Please do leave me a comment if you are listening to this on my YouTube channel. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you're following me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please do leave a comment in the comment section or the feedback section on the episode. Encouragement, guys, is something that is free. Encouragement is something that can help people and in so many different areas of their life. And I love encouragement. So, guys, please do leave any comments that you have about this episode in the space provided on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. Also, as well, guys, couple of little announcements. Dream Chasers Workshop, for those of you who want a plan, strategy and encouragement to follow your dreams, is on January the 25th online. I will leave a link to the Dream Chasers Workshop in the show notes description box. Only 12 places available, guys, so please be sure to get your ticket. Also, guys, you can follow me on social media, Yemi Empowerment, YEME_empowerment on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook and Twitter, but I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok. Do follow me over there, and also you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So, guys, until the next episode, which will be the last one of the year, I want to wish you, all my lovely listeners, a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, or season's greetings to you guys. I hope that whatever you're doing, it will be a time of peace, of restoration for you. I pray that, God blesses you in this time, and I will see you in the last episode of 2024. Take care.